What a weekend of baseball from the Toronto Blue Jays, and hat tips, flowers, whatever you want to say, give them all to Bowden Francis.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. I'm Braden Iwasko. He's Carter First. You can find us both on Twitter, Braden5 Iwasko, Carter First too. We'd like to keep you updated. Games, news, everything related to the Blue Jays on Twitter as well. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays as well. If you haven't already, we noticed a lot of you guys aren't subscribed to watch and listen to the podcast here on YouTube, so make sure you drop that subscription. And if you're listening anywhere else, we appreciate it. We got the Discord coming. Saw a couple of you guys wanting a Discord server, so we thought that'd be sort of cool to get up there, be able to interact with some of you guys a little bit better. So that's coming. It's I've been working on it. Got a little bit busy this weekend with some baseball. Things didn't go our way. We'll give you guys a little peek behind the curtain into how our season went, sort of at the end of in the third segment there as well. Today, lots to go over, Carter. Lots to go over. I mean, we're going to start with just how unbelievably electric Bowden Francis was. Then we got just our full series recap, storylines that we've seen, bunch of Blue Jays news, and of course a series preview as well, as there's some interesting stuff going on in the next series against Boston. So we'll get into all that and more. Carter, let's start here. Blue Jays Thursday, 5-2 win. 5-3 win, sorry. The Blue Jays 5-4 win in just an electric game on that Friday. Saturday, 3-1 Blue Jays, and Sunday, 8-2 Blue Jays for the sweep over the Angels. Carter, there's a ton of storylines here, but I think there's two massive ones. Let's start out with how good Bowden Francis was. The guy was absolutely electric. I was so fired up. And so Bowden Francis, 8 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run given up, 12 strikeouts, 3 walks, and went 8 innings without giving up a hit. So close to that no-hitter, just couldn't get the job done, giving up that home run. But overall, I mean, what a day from the kid.
It's unbelievable. His command was insane. The splitter, since he's implemented that splitter in early August, this guy is just a different pitcher. Like I don't know if the command somehow just with the splitter got better as well, because his fastball he's painting, his curveball he's getting backdoor, getting it low, not really hanging curveballs like we have seen Bowden Francis do in the past. He looks just ridiculous. Like going over his last couple games, like obviously he took a no-hitter into the 9th inning. Taylor Ward, there's some comments from that guy we'll get into after we kind of just pump Bowden Francis' tires, which is very well deserved. It's a guy that just has been having a decently up and down career this year. This season has had a lot of valleys, a lot of peaks. But you look at Bowden Francis, you look at his ability to adapt, you look at the ability to overcome challenges, and now you look at his stat line since early August. He's allowed 1 run in his last 3 starts. Like you're definitely taking that. It's a guy that just I'm so high on. I love to see success from Bowden Francis. And just 12 strikeouts, career high, coming off of his previous career high 8. So just taking another third of that. Just crazy games this weekend. Like you look at Friday, you look at Saturday, 2 unbelievable games. Sunday, obviously a very fun game to watch. When you look at the Los Angeles Angels, I know they're not a good baseball team, but I wish the Toronto Blue Jays played this team every single game of the year. Maybe just let's do a little trifecta. Let's get the Athletics, the White Sox, and the Los Angeles Angels. I think the Toronto Blue Jays record would be pretty solid there. But yeah, Bowden Francis, just insane stuff. It was garden hose swings from the Los Angeles Angels on that Saturday game.
Yeah, he looked so good. And I think this weekend was a testament to the Blue Jays pitching staff. Starting rotation, I'll say. It's a testament to the Blue Jays starting rotation of just how good all of them are. And I think this season, even with Yariel Rodriguez, Bowden Francis, Chris Bassitt, you saw get into a little bit of trouble, able to work himself out of it. It's just great to see guys being able, like you said, adapt. And I think that's the biggest thing looking at this team as a whole is the adaptability. I mean, yeah, we got to see more from I mean, if we're looking ahead to next year, we got to see more from the offense. We got to see them be more consistent. But right now, this is the most consistent that this team has been. I mean, you look at since the trade deadline. I mean, realistically, before that, it was just horrible, Carter. But going into this series, I think, as a whole. It was just fun baseball for the first time in a long time. I had a blast watching Toronto Blue Jays baseball. Don't get me wrong, it was a busy weekend for us. As we said, we had baseball and everything going on. But as always, we had Sports Center on in the dugout. All the boys were watching, paying attention. So it was fun, a blast in there as well. Just going into the Bowden Francis storyline a little bit. So there were some comments. Taylor Ward put out some comments against Bowden Francis. And I'll get into that. Pretty much what he said was, I thought everything was hittable. Well, I don't think that's true because you guys got one hit off of. In response, as Bowden Francis is doing his TV interview, mid-game interview, Chris Bassitt behind him puts up 15 innings, 2 hits, 20 Ks. Hittable and not special, he says, trolling Taylor Ward. And I absolutely love that. Chris Bassitt is such a man for the team. Like, if anybody's going after his guys, he is going to be the guy to step up and say something. And I think that comes with his, him being such a veteran in the league and really caring about this team. And you've seen it with the comments that he's made in his last couple interviews. In the stuff he does like this, I think it shows just the love for the team and a love for the game. And I absolutely love it.
You love to see your veterans backing up your dogs. This when I don't know what Taylor Ward's trying to accomplish with these comments. First of all, you're discrediting a pitcher that just absolutely dialed in on you guys. You look over those Chris Bassitt sign there. You look at the Los Angeles Angels. He's pitched again 15 innings, only gave up 2 earned runs, 20 strikeouts, and that's in 2 games pitched. That's 15 innings over 2 games pitched. Absolutely insane. So the fact that you're saying these comments, Taylor Ward only had 1 hit in 6 appearances against Bowden Francis this season. So in the other retrospect, if Bowden Francis isn't that special, how good of a baseball team are you guys? Clearly you can't hit him if he's not that good. So things aren't going well, obviously, in Los Angeles Angels land. I just don't understand where that comment's coming from. Just trying to discredit a guy. It looks bad on himself, looks bad for his team, obviously. And going over the numbers, continuing on to this as well. You look at Bowden Francis's whip, and I'll go over just a couple stats. I'll round them off here. So he has a 1.2 ERA against the Los Angeles Angels this season, 0.33 whip, 20 strikeouts. Did struggle with command a little bit in the second inning. I had 3 walks on the day, but overall, just a completely ridiculous day. And I can't believe that Taylor Ward actually came out and said that after just, getting no hit through the 8th inning and almost getting no hit throughout the entire game. But shout out to Chris Bassitt, just one of the best teammates out there, obviously. Just a guy that is so hard to hate. You can't hate Chris Bassitt. Just a great guy, great teammate, and just a crazy storyline to come from a weekend where the Los Angeles Angels didn't even look like they were in the same league as the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, it's frustrating, right? I totally understand, not wanting to give any other team props, right? You want to think of your team as the best team in baseball, but you're the Los Angeles Angels. You're the second worst team in baseball. If a guy eats you up, maybe say, yeah, we had a tough go. Good on him. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of, you should show a little bit of camaraderie in the league, right? You don't want to be looked at as a hater. And that's sort of the way that Taylor Ward's being looked at now, I think, by everybody in baseball. And Chris Bassitt puts that onto a tee and I think sets him up to make him look ridiculous. And good on Chris Bassitt for doing so. Carter, besides, it's just sort of an overall crazy story. I can't get over the fact that Taylor Ward decided to do that. Yeah, you got I don't know. It blows my mind a little bit. It's interesting to see sort of within each team where players' heads are at. And maybe we're delusional too as Toronto Blue Jays fans. Sometimes we definitely are, but coming from a player on the second worst team in baseball, saying this is just completely ridiculous to me.
I just don't get where he's coming from. A veteran in the league, it just doesn't make sense to discredit a guy that has been just dominant over his last 4 starts. This isn't just something Bowden Francis rolled out of bed and nobody knew who he was. Maybe he's not league known, I wouldn't say. But with Toronto Blue Jays land, obviously everyone does know Bowden Francis. So again, you go over his last 4 starts, 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 7 Ks, 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 8 Ks, 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 7 Ks, 8 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 12 Ks. Is that not good? I think that's pretty solid from Bowden Francis. And I'm just going to go over the complete quote that Taylor Ward did say, just so you guys get the full picture of what was happening in the situation. So he says, I thought everything was hittable. Maybe to other guys, he made better pitches. A lot of guys were talking about his split and not being on, but personally, I didn't think it was anything special. Again, what are you accomplishing here? You're just saying that you got unlucky? Is that just happened through 8 innings? You got so unlucky you didn't get 1 hit? Is that where we're at? Just absolutely sore loser comments, just whining. Just doesn't look good for the brand of baseball whatsoever. But yeah, just shout out to the Toronto Blue Jays fans. Just a lot of people were body bagging him on Twitter, Instagram. I saw some interesting comments going at the Los Angeles Angels, and it's quite the statement to make when you haven't won a game against the Toronto Blue Jays at all this entire season.
Yeah, well, and you know what? Sort of weirdly enough, the comparison in the situation here brings me back to one from when the Blue Jays got no hit against Ronel Blanco, right? Everybody's saying good that the guy did great. He was throwing nice pitches. We didn't really hear about Ronel Blanco before that a whole lot. And I think just when you look at both situations side by side, how the Blue Jays handled it compared to how the Angels handled it, were very, very different. You see the Blue Jays giving them props, saying they need to be better, they have to do better. And you see the Angels coming out and saying and making excuses and making stuff up. I just think it's as an organization, having your players respect. I think it comes down to a respect the game type of thing. So hat tips to the Blue Jays. I guess the big loser of the day is Taylor Ward. We can hand that award out right now. Carter, we got a whole bunch more to get into. Still a couple other things, but do you have anything left to say sort of on the whole Bowden Francis situation?
No, just continue being a dog. Show them that you actually do have disgusting things. I guess you haven't done that already, even though it's been quite the stretch for Bowden Francis. But the only other thing I want to discuss is just we talked about this last start, and that was how this fifth rotation spot is going to look into 2025. At this point with Bowden Francis, again, there is still a lot of starts that he's going to make for the rest of the season. But if he continues even like to be half as good as he has been for the rest of the season, you got to have this guy in your starting rotation, right? Going into the next season. Like he's performing right now like probably a second starting pitcher. Maybe even you could debate that it's ace level stuff that he's doing right now. Obviously 12 strikeouts. So you're not going to get a no-hitter going through the eighth every single start. But with Bowden Francis, what he's doing, he's making it a great problem for the Toronto Blue Jays to have. And looking at the future for 2025, obviously Alek Manoah will be out for the first little bit of the season. So not necessarily a problem that we'll have to pass during then. Again, knock on wood. Hopefully there is no injuries. Things can happen in baseball. But right now, with the way Bowden Francis is performing, there's no way you can't have this guy in your starting rotation. It's just absolutely insane stuff that this guy's doing over a pretty good portion of games so far in August.
For sure. And I mean, that's going to have to be a huge topic of conversation for us, sort of going into the offseason, looking at what's ahead, what direction can the Blue Jays take to move forward. And one of those topics will be the position of the starting rotation. So we're going to dive really deep into that, have a discussion on everybody available. What are the Blue Jays options? And I think, like Carter said, so far as we're seeing, Bowden Francis is that option. We're going to take a break because there's one other big storyline, big thing that happened in the games that we got to get into. It fired me right up, and I'm sure it did you guys. So stay tuned for that. We're going to take a quick break and be right back.
Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the most reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. So you can join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com.
So, Carter, still a ton to get into, but the big one that I did want to talk about, obviously, I think you can't pass this one up, and that is the Friday game, the end to the Friday game. What an absolutely electric sequence. Of course, Joey Loperfido hits the game-tying home run and gets followed up by an Addison Barger blast. It was, when we talk about those games, that people will remember, the situations that people will remember, the Joey Loperfido and Addison Barger back-to-back home run to win the game against, sadly, it was against the Angels, so it's not they're going to be the most, crazy win of all time. But still, in the fashion that it happened, I think that's got to give you a little bit of hope, Carter, don't you think?
For sure. And just the craziest thing with those two, obviously your young stars, the two that you probably want to be producing right now, along with guys like Will Wagner. Obviously, you want to see some stuff, David Schneider. But we'll focus on Joey Loperfido and Addison Barger, the two men of the hour. two lefties just mashing. You absolutely love to see it. Joey Loperfido is going on a little bit of the insanity run. Addison Barger is starting to hit for a little bit of power. But the funniest thing that I thought from that ninth inning, obviously electric ninth inning, back-to-back home runs from two young studs, absolutely going to eat every single time. But Addison Barger, it was a 3-2 pitch. He got, I think it was a fastball inside, and he just missed a home run on the pitch before. And then obviously gets a changeup that's a little bit more over the plate, and he was not going to miss that. I think he launched 439 feet just off the bat. You knew, like, game over. Just this weekend was such a fun weekend of baseball to watch. I haven't actually enjoyed Toronto Blue Jays baseball this much. Maybe since the trade deadline. It's not even Toronto Blue Jays baseball, but I mean, that was a fun stretch for the Blue Jays. But yeah, like you look at Joey Loperfido's run over these last 7. He has 10 hits, 24 at-bats, 2 home runs. He's hitting just a million doubles. He goes 2 for 2, I believe, in the Saturday game with 2 doubles as well. 417 average, 462 OBP, and a slugging of 958. And then with Addison Barger, just when he hits home runs and when he gets that power swing onto the ball, that ball is going to go insanely far. So if Addison Barger and Joey Loperfido can just kind of continue to stay hot, obviously you're not expecting a home run every single game, but boy, would that be fun to watch. So I definitely don't take that away from me. That hits like crack. But with Joey Loperfido, Addison Barger, 2 lefty bats, 2 power bats, 2 guys that could have immense impacts on the Toronto Blue Jays future. So that was a very fun game to watch for the Toronto Blue Jays, just this season, next season, and just everything above.
Yeah, Carter. I mean, and that's what excites me, right? Is you see these guys do well, and it gives you excitement about the Toronto Blue Jays future. And I think that's something that the fans and us as well have to sort of lean into, right? Is what's ahead, what's next. And I just want to go over Joey Loperfido's stats here since August 17th, because it is unbelievable. He's got a 500 average, a 524 OBP, an OPS of 1.674, 1,674. Unbelievable, with 7 extra base hits. The guy is absolutely on fire. And, I think going into when we got Joey Loperfido, I think one of the things where we didn't really know what to expect from him in that trade, you won with a few guys, but at the end of the day, you didn't know what Joey Loperfido was going to bring, a guy that's already been in the majors. And I think we got more than we even realized at the time. So hopefully Joey Loperfido can continue to be this good moving forward. That's always going to be a question with young guys. You never really know how things are going to pan out, but if he can continue, I mean, even at this pace, or if he goes less, I mean, you can't expect a 500 average all the time, but if he can stay hot, I mean, you're going to love that from Joey Loperfido, and we'll see hopefully only good things to come. Carter, out of this weekend, I mean, there's so many storylines. Is there anything else that really stood out to you from the weekend?
I'm just going to kind of go into Joey Loperfido's game, like outside of the home run on Friday. This guy was just kind of doing it all. Daulton Varsho gets a day off for the first time in God knows how long. This guy just seems to play every single day. So we got to see Joey Loperfido in center field a little bit. But I'm going to talk about the Friday game where he was in left field. Insane jumping catch at the wall. It's so fun to watch Daulton Varsho, George Springer, and Joey Loperfido in the outfield, especially when you got guys like Joe Adell on the Angels just looking horrendous in the outfield. That's one thing that I definitely noticed in the series. Obviously, the Toronto Blue Jays just waxed the Los Angeles Angels. You absolutely love to see that. But the outfield defense, one thing that Toronto Blue Jays fans, I guess we maybe taken for granted, you could say. But again, when you're not scoring runs, it's a lot more fun to score runs than it is to watch like a diving catch from time to time. But the Toronto Blue Jays defense, outfield defense, is one of the best in the league. It's not even up for debate. Daulton Varsho might be the best outfielder, maybe even the best defender in all of baseball. Joey Loperfido's quick. He's going to get to every single ball. You got George Springer just making highlight reel plays pretty much every single series. So shout out to all those guys just for being absolute rocks in the outfield. Definitely helps these pitchers as well. When you got guys stealing runs, stealing outs, just making big plays, that's obviously going to be huge for a pitcher and their mentality on the mound. If you know you have good defense behind you, you're probably going to go after hitters. You're going to be a little bit more risky, I want to say, but you're definitely not inclined to pitch around guys nearly as much when you know you have a solid defense behind you. But other than that, Alejandro Kirk, I kind of liked what I saw from him this weekend. Had a double and obviously a home run after the intentional walk on Vladdy in Sunday's game. That was another interesting spot. 1 out and a 3-1 count. We decided to put Vladdy on. Alejandro Kirk makes him pay, launches a baseball in the seats. Love to see that. This guy's actually he's not making me hate my life at the plate anymore, which is nice to see. Guess it looks like he's getting under the ball a little bit more. He's hitting more line drives, hitting the ball in the air a lot more, which is great for a guy like Alejandro Kirk, obviously with his size and his build. More of a contact hitter, but you do want him to be able to hit line drives, obviously hit the ball into the gaps, and that's what he did very successfully in 2022. So we can get Alejandro Kirk. He's going to have a big role next season. We want him to be able to have at least be an average catcher in the MLB. He's going to be in a way more prominent role than he was this season, obviously with Danny Jansen departing. So that was another thing that I love to see, is just Alejandro Kirk kind of smacking the baseball around the yard. But just a great weekend of baseball. Again, we played the Los Angeles Angels every single day, because 7-0 against the Los Angeles Angels. Unbelievable series. And first 4-game sweep for the Toronto Blue Jays since 2022 against the Los Angeles Angels. So clearly the Blue Jays have the Angels number. It's one of those things that you just love to see. And, you know, when the Toronto Blue Jays either go to LA or they come to the Rogers Center, you're probably going to see some pretty good baseball.
Yeah. And shout out to Alejandro Kirk, man. You talked about him, and I just got to bring up his last 7 games here, his stats, because they are unbelievable too. They're exactly what you want from Alejandro Kirk. In 22 at-bats, he has 3 runs, 8 hits, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, 3 walks, 1 strikeout, with an average of 364, an on-base percentage of 440, and he's slugging a 7.27. That's the Alejandro Kirk we want to see. And I mean, the last 7 games, he has looked way better. I don't know what the change has been. I don't know if he's made adjustments, but he looks good. He looks more comfortable at the plate. He looks better taking pitches. He looks better deciding what pitches to go after. I really, really like what I've seen from Alejandro Kirk. So that's a good pickup on your behalf.
And he scored on a single when he was at second base. So congrats to Alejandro Kirk, speed demon out there. Just absolutely setting fire on the base paths.
Yeah. It was just a great weekend of baseball, Carter. We got, there's some other little things that I want to get into, just a couple little quick storylines. Obviously, we're going to still do the series preview. I think let's take a quick break here just before we get into some of the more newsy stuff that have come out from the Blue Jays in the past few days here. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with some more Jays news. And obviously, like I said, the series preview as well. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. You guys know how much we enjoy FanDuel here at Locked On Blue Jays. It is probably my favorite app on my phone. I love their same game parlays. I've been hammering those. I've been losing so many on the ones that I make myself. So I let the experts do it and take myself sort of out of the equation. You've heard us talk so much about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, now they have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get three-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Like we said, bet with FanDuel, and they give you some bonuses. Gotta love that, FanDuel. All right, Carter, back. We will get into the series sort of preview here. There's a bunch of things that are going to be leading up to this one, but just a few interesting little tidbits I got here. Chris Atterbury on the radio broadcast sort of mentioned this about Trevor Richards the other day. Trevor Richards is a 3-pitch guy: fastball, changeup, and a wild pitch. I thought that was just hilarious. I love when radio guys sort of go a little bit like off character, off script, and say something. And man, Trevor Richards has thrown so many wild pitches since being moved from the Toronto Blue Jays. And you know what? It's sort of very on brand. He was so good for the Blue Jays, but he had those moments where you're like, what was he throwing at? And so hilarious moment from the broadcast there, Carter. I don't know if you saw that one as well. Yeah, you were laughing about it, so I figured you did.
I did, yeah. 12 wild pitches on the year for Trevor Richards. That's it's insanity. You obviously like that pitch. I can't remember which team it was, but I did see the clip that he threw the ball. Like it's like he spiked it. I think it landed like 10 feet before the plate. Like you can't really do anything if you're Jeffers there. Obviously, that was a tough situation because you had runners on first and second, and they both advanced, runners on third and second. With Trevor Richards, though, like that changeup is filthy. I guess it's going to happen sometimes. Obviously, you want to give your catcher a chance to catch the ball at least have the hitter have a chance to swing at that. Nobody's swinging at that pitch, unfortunately, for Trevor Richards. Now that Trevor Richards has been gone from the Toronto Blue Jays, I don't know if I was a little bit blinded. Maybe I had a little bit of bias, but I don't know if is Trevor Richards actually good. Like I'm trying to kind of struggling with it. Like the changeup is disgusting. I will say that it is one of the best pitches in baseball. But if you hang a changeup or you throw that fastball, that's just not that good of a pitch. Again, there's a lot of home runs that do get hit off Trevor Richards, but you do look at his time with the Minnesota Twins before this big outing he had with that wild pitch that was ridiculous. He did have 5 scoreless innings. So it's one of those things when Trevor Richards blows up, he is going to blow up and probably give up the biggest moonball of all time. But most of the time with that changeup, if it's on, it's very hard to hit off of Trevor Richards.
I was sort of thinking the same thing when after I read this. I'm like, you know what? Maybe Trevor Richards isn't a good pitcher, and we were just using our Blue Jays bias. And you know what? That might be the case. I'm not going to say out here that Trevor Richards is one of the best pitchers of all time either. So
I think he's serviceable though. Saying that, I don't want to completely like
no, he's not
all over the guy.
terrible.
It's just this isn't a guy that should be high leverage. If you have him like coming out as your like sixth, seventh reliever, I think he has a role. It's just I don't think he should have been obviously closing out games for the Toronto Blue Jays, even though we did have a depleted bullpen at that time. Absolutely insane stuff that we've gone through this year. Quite the roller coaster. And just like looking at the team right now, there's like 4 players that are in the lineup that we saw at the start of the season. It's pretty much the Buffalo Blue Jays at this point.
Yeah. And you know what, to go off of that, another guy that was a Toronto Blue Jay at the beginning of this season, Cavan Biggio has now signed a deal with the San Francisco Giants, 29-year-old, and that is a minor league contract. And he's with his third organization this season, which isn't a great thing for Cavan Biggio. Not a great look from him. But you know what? Captain Biggio has never amounted to, I think, the expectations that were brought up. And, you know, that's going to be the case with some of these guys, right? You have such high hopes because their parents played in the league and you think, oh, they'll be just as good. And I think that's very hard to come into. And I think Captain Biggio sort of is a victim of the success of his father.
Absolutely. This guy came into the league, had very high expectations. Definitely tough to fill Craig Biggio's shoes. But again, when you look at like his career averages and things like that, I got pulled up here. 225 average, his 51 home runs. Never going to be a home run hitter. I'm kind of okay with that. OPS of 720. Hasn't had a good year of baseball in a very long time. For me, honestly, with this Giant stuff, I don't really care. Like whatever with Cavan Biggio, I wish him success. I just don't think he's that good of a baseball player.
No.
I can't believe that we were actually in a spot where we were arguing if we should keep Cavan Biggio or Ernie Clement. Imagine if we would have DFA'd Ernie Clement and some of the fan takes that we would have gotten, whether it's Twitter, whether it's in our comment section, whether it's on Blue Jays Instagram, you name it. There would have been some crazy takes flying off the wall. So I guess not giving a lot of credit to Ross Atkins for all the moves he's made, but I guess credit for Ross Atkins for this one, for making the right play. Obviously, it was the easier choice for me. You have just 4 years in a row where Cavan Biggio just hasn't really been that good of a baseball player. Ernie Clement, the small sample size he had last season, was a very good hitter. And you look at him right now, he's probably one of the best hitters on the Toronto Blue Jays. So a little bit, I guess, of ricochet shots at Cavan Biggio here. Maybe I'm just going right at him, not necessarily ricochets, but then I got to pump my boy up, Ernie Clement, while we're doing some passing. So win for Carter on the Locked On Blue Jays podcast today.
Yeah, we'll take it. A couple more things here just before we move on. Jordan Romano set to begin throwing progressions. Bichette nearing rehab assignment. We've heard that Bichette was starting to work back up. He's getting close to that rehab. I still think they should let him sort of, just end the season there, see what happens, let him sort of get back into form in the offseason. But we'll see what the Toronto Blue Jays decide to do with him. Another thing, Carter, a little bit of an interesting story here. Jays planning to give starting pitchers extra day of rest for remainder of the season. So I'm not sure if that means it's going to be a bullpen day, if they're going to let somebody else try to start. I believe it's probably just going to end up being bullpen, which honestly I'm fine with at this point. I think they know that this isn't a playoff year. So try to rest some guys up, make sure there's no injuries. And then that might allow guys like Bowden Francis to have great days like this with an extra day of rest and be able to go and throw, over 100 pitches if need be. So I like this plan from the Blue Jays, but we'll sort of see what amounts from this.
I think I know exactly what's going to amount from this. We got our sixth starter being Ryan Yarbrough, I guess. He's probably going to be manning the front a lot of these times in these games. But Ryan Yarbrough, his last outing, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 4 Ks, no walks. Like, if this guy can go out there and give you even 3 innings, to be honest, I would want 4 or 5, obviously. But again, it's a good play by the Blue Jays. Like, you look at where you're at in the season. I mean, 5 years back from 500, don't look now. But obviously, you're not going to play the Los Angeles Angels every single game. You look at the Toronto Blue Jays schedule, a lot of tough series coming up. So there might be some beatdowns, unfortunately, at the hands of other teams on the Toronto Blue Jays. But saying that, our starting pitching has been good recently. It gives guys like Jose Berrios, Chris Bassitt, Kevin Gausman, guys that are going to pitch well. It gives them a little bit of rest here. Gives their arms a break. And then you Bowden Francis, you see success from him. You don't want to overpitch the guy. Yariel Rodriguez, you still want to see good performances from these guys. But I do like the move as well for where you are in the season. Again, a little part of me, every single time we do win a series or sweep the Los Angeles Angels, which has happened twice this month, it makes me want to push for the playoffs, but then you're going to go to like the Minnesota Twins or something. We're going to lose the series 2-1 and get absolutely dominated. And I'm going to be like, oh, this team definitely just isn't a playoff team. We just played the Los Angeles Angels. So it's unfortunate in that aspect, but I do like the move. Can't really complain. Just you got to save your starters' arms.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where we're at, right? in this season. This is where the season's led us. So I guess we just have to sort of accept the position that this team has put us as the fans in. Carter, let's get to the series preview here. I mean, we could talk about a bunch of Blue Jays news for days, but there's some more stuff we want to get to tomorrow. Big sort of episode. We'll make sure we get that one to you guys as well. So the Blue Jays have a double header today, Monday, against the Red Sox. Then Tuesday, another game. I don't know if this has the starters available. I know Yariel Rodriguez will start for the Blue Jays on Tuesday, but that might be debatable because I'm not sure what's happening with that. The first game, because I think Yariel Rodriguez was pitching in that game. So I'm not sure what the rule is on if he has to continue. What happens on that? That will sort of wait to be seen.
I think he got his inning, so I'm assuming they could pitch kind of whoever they want. I know
Okay.
it's like I don't know exactly how it works if they pick it up like live at backs. I know Jano was in the box, so obviously it's going to be a storyline we more so cover on the next episode. But any chance I'm going to make history? You've probably seen that if you're literally anywhere on Toronto Blue Jays social media. But yeah, I think it will probably be Ryan Yarborough for that game, and then they'll kind of rotate with like the rest of their rotation, how they've been doing it. So that's how I'm assuming this is going to be. The bullpen day will just have it as Ryan Yarborough day. It's just mostly going to be the bullpen, like you said. But I do see Ryan Yarborough being the starter, that's relief guy that's just gonna be your opener. But 6-man rotation, definitely not going to complain. We'll see what happens. It should be Ryan Yarborough, but obviously if you're watching the game and we're wrong, wouldn't be the first time. So.
Yeah, no, I like that take. Obviously, then the second game on Monday is Jose Berrios versus Nick Pivetta. Tuesday, like I said, Yariel Rodriguez. Boston is not listed as starter yet, so we'll have to wait to see. And then for Wednesday, it is Chris Bassitt versus, is it Bello?
Yeah, Brian Bayo.
Bayo. I always mess that one up. And then Thursday as well, it'll be Bowden Francis versus Crawford. Crawford sitting at a 4.22 ERA on the season. So we'll see how those ones goes. I'm excited to see Bowden Francis. I'm excited to see our Yariel Rodriguez. And we'll have to see what happens, Carter. I mean, at this point, I'm just hoping that I get to see some interesting baseball, like baseball this weekend. Close games, exciting games, good finishes, whatever it is. I just want to be drawn into the games. And this weekend was a good component for that. Watching the back-to-back home runs for the Blue Jays to win a baseball game is super entertaining, and that'll draw in anybody. Even if you're not a Blue Jays fan and you see, whoa, the Blue Jays just hit back-to-back home runs, maybe it gets a couple more eyes on the team, gets people wondering what they're up to over there in Toronto. So, Carter, anything before we sort of get out of here for you?
Why just continues to be on a tear. This guy might hit 35 home runs this season. I think that'd be a very good clip for him. That's my goal for Vladdy now. A lot of people, we were having debates if he would get to 30 home runs a season. Now being at 27 with a lot of games left, you got to hope he gets to 30. If he doesn't get to 30, that is going to be a very disappointing way to end Vladimir Guerrero Jr. season. But anything this guy touches just turning into money, it seems like. It's just absolute craziness with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hitting bloop singles, hitting balls hard, hitting doubles into the gap, hitting balls that are almost outside of the outside part of the plate, and he's pulling them off the wall for doubles. This guy's just hitting everything, going absolutely insane. And just every single time we go on this podcast, we probably could talk about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., how good he's been for 20 minutes. But obviously, we don't want to say the same thing every single time. You guys are hopefully still watching these games as well, even though it is sometimes tough to watch the Toronto Blue Jays. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is one of those players that makes it enjoyable and just continues to be on a tear and put up one of the best offensive seasons that he's ever had.
Yeah, he looks unbelievable, Carter. He's such a fun guy to watch. And anybody saying that Vlad isn't the face of the franchise or the man he was supposed to be, the player he was supposed to be, I think he's proven you pretty wrong right now. So it's great to see. Carter, just before we sort of get out of here, thank you guys for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen today. Make sure you go make Locked On MLB your second listen. That's with Paul Sullivan, Sully, our guy. We've been on his podcast on the Locked On MLB show. It was a blast. He runs such a fun show. He has his own sort of brand of humor, his own way of working the show. It's so much fun. And he has you covered every single day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That's the Monday episode. We got a lot more Blue Jay stuff to cover. We're getting towards the end of the season here where a lot of things start to come out, a lot of interesting stuff, looking at the off season. So we'll make sure we cover all of that and break all of that down for you guys. Carter, just before we get out of here, disappointing weekend for us. Neither of our slow pitch teams did anything special. There were some injuries along the way. I think you pulled like a hamstring or I don't know, your MCL.
I might as well be 45 years old. I'm only 22. I'm up there pulling hammies. It was hot. It's like very hot out there. Probably should have had more water, was consuming a different sort of beverage that maybe contributed to it a little bit. yeah, not too much to say. Maybe we can elaborate a little bit more on tomorrow's episode, where hopefully we do have a little bit more time. We'll see if there's a lot of Toronto Blue Jays news going out there, but still a lot of fun. Obviously, not a lot of sleep for the Sunday game. We played at 9:30. I think I went to bed around 5, so that was interesting. It's always late nights, so again, a ton of people from our hometown that you don't necessarily see all the time. So we definitely like to make the best of it. But yeah, just ball weekends, one of the best weekends in all of the summer, honestly, in the whole year. You can definitely be a top 3 weekend for me.
Yeah, I had the worst heat stroke I've ever had on Friday or Saturday night, and I was a mess on Sunday. So sort of bouncing back, still trying to get back to it. I had to steal like 3 t-shirts from my brother because they were just gone. So this is where we're at. It was a fun weekend, not the most successful overall, but I think, yeah, like you said, I think we'll maybe go over it a little bit tomorrow because there was a couple interesting games. We had a little bit of a Toronto Blue Jay weekend with just some crazy games coming down to the wire, and a ton of fun.
Some people are saying that the Rippers and the Blue had to fall, so had to fall so the Toronto Blue Jays could run and just have a great weekend against the Los Angeles Angels. So we fell on our sword for the Toronto Blue Jays. Credit to us. Yeah, we're just I got injured, so nobody on the Toronto Blue Jays got hurt. So we're just doing our part out here. We're doing everything we can to make the Toronto Blue Jays as enjoyable to watch as possible. But hey, don't look now. Toronto Blue Jays, 9.5 games back. We're right there, baby. Right there. Just have to go on a 1,000,000-game winning streak. Maybe we'll get in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we'll be enjoying it along the way. Hopefully, they can continue to play better baseball. It does make it a lot easier and a lot more pleasurable to watch the Toronto Blue Jays. But again, we're getting out to the dog days of the season. Obviously, not a lot of meaningful baseball for the Toronto Blue Jays to play. 31 games left. But again, I always say this, when it comes to December, we're going to be wishing for these Los Angeles Angels games, even though they don't matter at this point. But I just do want to say thank you guys for watching. Likes, comments, subscriptions. Everything has been greatly appreciated. We have noticed that about 68% of you guys are not subscribed. So if you guys are watching our podcast, tuning in every single day, helps us out a ton. Also keeps our podcast at the top of your page so you guys aren't missing out on any episodes. But other than that, yeah, I'm just probably going to rest up. Maybe ice the hammy, unfortunately, for me. I guess I'm going to knock on wood for this one. Never really been hurt before. We have maybe first one today. I guess a couple days ago, the day we're recording this podcast. But fun weekend, but not great on the body, unfortunately.
Yeah, we sort of had a little bit of a role reversal. Usually it's me, I lose a rib or something. But, I was lucky enough to stay healthy. But again, we'll get more into it sort of coming up. Some crazy games, some crazy stuff. A lot of Blue Jays news coming to you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.